Hi, how are you tonight? I'm Roberta Colosino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator right now in Pompano Beach, Florida. Let me just get things adjusted here. My mouse doesn't like this table for some reason. There we go. I also just realized that I didn't have my new host code on my banner, so I'm cutting it up. I had printed it off, but that apparently was as far as I got. I've been just a little bit busy this week with things, and it's going to continue to be busy, I guess, from the looks of things. A neighbor just told me she thought I might get more of a vacation when I was at home than I am here. Sometimes it's just the way things work, you know. Things happen, and they seem to always happen when I'm here, which is good, because if my children were here or some other family member were here, I would hate for them to have to deal with things, you know, when they only have, let's say, a week on vacation and I have a couple of months. So anyway, so I promised you that tonight we would be working on some techniques, and we're going to work on two techniques tonight, similar but different. I wouldn't say they're similar, but just involving color, we'll put it that way. Techniques involving color, and I think you're going to like them a lot. I've learned a lot practicing with these techniques, and then I have something to show you that I'm offering, and I will put the camera down and we will get right to things, okay? So hang on. Whoops. Sorry, something is loose. All right. I still can't see anything though, so I can't tell if that's right or wrong. Let me see if I can refresh and get that going. There we go. No, wait. No, you're looking at the ceiling again, aren't you? Every time. Hang on one second. I think I push a button that I don't need to push, and for some reason I can't stop myself from doing that. All right, there. I think we've got it now. She says, hopefully. Right now all I see is my thumb. There we go. I've also been playing around with lighting because it just doesn't seem quite right to me. I don't know exactly what the issue is, but so here's my host code for the month of March, and I'm still making my offer that I made during celebration. I'm going to continue doing that. For a $35 purchase, you will receive one each kits to create one each of the cards that we make during this class tonight. And if you make a $50 purchase, I will throw in some embellishments and or some ribbon and possibly some designer series paper. It's kind of dependent on what I've got around, but it'll be something that I hope you don't already have and you will enjoy. This is not even my new banner because this one doesn't have the right name on it. So the group is now called 11 Lakes Stamper Creatives, not Roberta's Creative Stamper. So I have to find the other banner because I did make a new one. I hope I didn't throw out the wrong one by mistake. That would be funny. I don't have any color ink right now, so I can't do anything pretty with color. But if you're going to place an order, no matter what, this part is correct, and my website is correct, and my email is correct. The only thing that's not correct is the name of this group, so sorry about that. Okay, we'll get that out of the way. I wanted to show you something, and it will pertain to what we're doing tonight. So available to Stampin' Up! Demonstrators on our website is something called the Color Coach. And I know that I've mentioned it before. I don't know exactly how much of it I've shown before, if anything. I feel like I have, but I'm not positive. So, okay, so we got a little blurriness going on here too. So hang on again just a second, because that I think I know how to fix. Okay. There we go. I think that's going to look better. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. All right, so it's called the Color Coach. And what it does, and I haven't completed mine yet, but I can explain to you how it goes. So let's see. What I've got here on the top are the in colors. And it comes in sheets, and I print off the sheet, and then I cut it up. There are marks that show you where to cut. And so this is the one for Sweet Sorbet, okay, that shows you all of the colors that might go well with Sweet Sorbet. And this, well, Yeah, it's all of the in colors for 2022, 2024. So it's Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, and Orchid Oasis. And then they've got them again for the 2023, 2025 in colors. They've got them for the neutrals. They've got them for the brights, which is every category of our colors. We've got them for the regals, and we've got them for the subtles. So let's say we're looking at the one for the Berry Burst. What I would do is I would mount this on a piece of Berry Burst cardstock, because there's no guarantee when you print something that the color's going to come out exactly the same unless you're a professional printer, which I am definitely not. So you want to have the cardstock there to show you as well what it looks like. But they're saying that Berry Burst will blend well with, or you can use them together, Melon Mambo and Crumb Cake, Old Olive and Blueberry Bushel, Coastal Cabana, and Daffodil Delight. And I have tried some of these out, and when I initially look at them, sometimes I say, yeah, I don't think so. And then when I do it, it's correct. So I have decided that I'm going to sell these to customers who would like to have them. So I'm going to offer 3 options, and I have to figure out the price points, but I've kind of got it worked out. So one price point would be I print off the sheets for you, send you the sheets, and you do your own cutting, you do your own hole punching, and you do your own putting them on a ring if that's how you want it done. Okay? Some people might choose to just leave it on a sheet. I like having it on the cards because I like the idea of mounting the cardstock behind it. So that's one option. Another option would be that I would cut them for you and maybe punch holes in them and put them on a ring, but then send them to you, and you might mount them on the cardstock yourself or choose not to. Probably the highest end option I would offer would be that I would cut them for you, I would mount them on the cardstock, I would laminate them and put them on a ring for you. And I would have to probably charge at least $25 to do that, possibly more. Like I said, I'm working out the details. And I'm guessing that for just cutting, or just printing rather, the sheets and giving you an 8.5 by 11 sheet, I would probably only need to charge you maybe $12, maybe $15. So again, don't hold me to that. Don't say, oh, well, you said, because I really do have to work it out. I'm not looking to make a huge profit, but there's shipping involved as well, and I certainly don't want to lose money. We try really hard not to lose money. So that's why I'm just asking you to give me some time to work it out. But it would be very helpful to me to know who might be interested in having this. I find it very useful. So when I sat down to do some of the projects for today, I knew that I might want to use, was it Sweet Sorbet? See, now I'm forgetting what I wanted to use. Yes, I wanted to use Sweet Sorbet. So I got this card out, and this card told me that Sweet Sorbet went with all of these colors. So sometimes they show them in a row because they really want you to think of using these 3 together, or these 3, or these 3. But I'm not always a rule follower, so I wanted to know if I could mix it up a little bit. So I wanted to know how Sweet Sorbet, Pumpkin Pie, Berry Burst, and Cherry Cobbler would all work out together. And the answer was, now I just have to find my sample card, which was in a basket in front of me like 2 minutes ago, and then, darn me, I decided to move things. Oh, hang on, here we go. So I just made a quick card using all of those colors, and you don't have to agree, obviously, but I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. I really like the way these colors work together. I have 0 complaints. Now, obviously, these little pieces here are different. However, it also says over here that it goes well with Old Olive, and I did use Old Olive here to make the nacho chips. I used a combination of crumb cake and I think it was lemon lolly. But as far as this goes, I think these colors blend really well. And in case you're wondering what this is back here, this is the technique that we're going to work on tonight. So for the second choice, I think I went with these same colors again. Yes, I did. And I went to the 2022-2024 in colors, and I went to the sheet that has Parakeet Party. And I decided that I was going to use Parakeet Party, Pool Party, Balmy Blue, and Boho Blue together. So again, I wasn't following the line across the row, but since it worked out so well here, I'm really hoping, I've got my fingers crossed, that it'll work out well here as well. So what I need is, I should learn just not to move things around when I'm about to start a video. Now I dropped my little credit card on the floor, and I'm going to have to dive under the table to get it. Because to do this particular technique, you do need a credit card, preferably an expired one, an expired gift card, whatever. And I didn't think to bring any with me. I mean, why would you travel with expired credit cards or gift cards, right? Silly me, I didn't think about it. So I went looking through some purses that I had here, and I found a friendship rewards card for Christopher and Banks. I used to love to shop there, but I don't believe they're anywhere in New York State anymore. Every store in Florida has left as well. And apparently if you live in like Ohio or Iowa, or there's a few states left where apparently they still have Christopher and Banks, but I don't see myself shopping in any of them anytime soon. So here I have a piece of white paper that is 4 by 5 1/4, so again, just a typical card base. And I've got my Balmy Blue, Pool Party, Boho Blue, and Parakeet Party. Now what I did when I started this card was I started with the orange first because it was the most different of the colors. So I'm going to do the same thing here and start with the Parakeet Party first because it's also the most different. Now I saw several demonstrations of this technique being done, and they were all old, and they were all using sponge daubers. And I have told you many times how much I love our new blending brushes better than the sponge daubers, although, that being said, the sponge daubers do work very well for some things. Hello, Cheryl. I'm not upside down anymore, though, right? I was. Yeah, I don't think I am. No, I'm not. I'm not anymore. I might have been, Cheryl. I could have been inside out. Who the heck knows? All right, so... However, when I got out my blending brushes, what I discovered was that the sponge daubers actually would be better for this particular technique. All right, so I'm just saying that, but I think I'm right, and I think you'll see why when I start. So I've got one of my greenish blending brushes, and I'm just going to take a little rub on the paper to make sure there's not a ton of color on it, and there's some that you probably can't even see, but not a lot. I really ruined my first attempt at that other one because I kept forgetting to dab off, and that's really important, especially for this technique. So what I realized was that when they were using the sponge dauber, they got a very, not a thin line, but a thinner line, and I was getting a thicker line. So what I finally started doing was just putting ink on sort of one side of the brush, one edge, still tapping off a little bit, and then just kind of going back and forth, but I've got more of my brush on the card than I do on the paper, and that worked out much better. Okay, now that's not super dark though, and I might want that to show up more, so I'll ink up a little bit more, and I can go over it again to get it a little bit darker. So basically I'm just moving this around. Now there I accidentally got it on a spot that that I didn't want it, but honestly that's not going to matter. Now I'm not purposely doing the corners, and I don't want them to be done the same amount or the same size, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of continue going around. And I can go back later. See, I got there too, and I kind of didn't want to. So I have to really watch that to make sure that doesn't happen. But what I can do now is I can come in here, and I can go over that. And you'll see what we also do at the end that will make all of that just fine. So now I've got that, and this time I'm not going to come quite to the corner. Now again, they used a credit card. If you use something longer, you might be able to make different strokes, so to speak. So yes, I guess I am kind of on the corner again, but at some point I'll move it around and you'll see it. So now, because I have those little blobs that I kind of didn't want there, I'm going to go on this edge a little further out and just sort of utilize those blobs. But now I've done it here, so I do have to be careful. Apparently I was more careful with that on the other one. Okay, and I'm going to want to get just a tiny bit more in there. So now I'm going to go just from like here to here. I'm trying not to think it through too much, but I don't want to make too many mistakes either. Although I think for the most part, those mistakes will get fixed. So I may come back to the green, but I'm going to set that aside for now. And I'm going to get out the Pool Party, which is the lightest of the blues. And for now, I'm just using one brush. So the Pool Party, you can see it better almost on the sponge here, or the brush here. The Pool Party is definitely a greenish blue. On this, it looks really green. All right, so again, it's supposed to look like pool water or maybe ocean water. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come just to this corner and I'm gonna go pretty heavy and just fill in that corner. But then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna try really hard to stay just between those two lines. And that's where it would be much easier with a sponge dauber, for sure. Because they're just smaller and they're on the tip of your finger. I didn't bring them with me or else obviously I'd be using them. And if you're familiar with them, they fit on the tip of your finger, which just makes them pretty easy to control. Right, and then I'm gonna come over here and maybe and if I don't like the way this comes out, which is what I did on the one with the reds and the pinks, I just flipped it over and did the other side, and I shouldn't have put that card together without showing you my mistakes, because some of them were pretty awful, to be honest with you, and it would be good for you to have seen them. Okay, so over here I'm just going to make this corner a little bit bigger, and I'm going to get that corner with the pool party, and maybe I'm going to see if I can correct that a little bit by bringing this over here, pulling it back a little bit, and sort of blending that in a bit. So yes, this is a tiny bit time consuming, which is why I did the other one ahead of time, so you could see that one completed. And let's see. All right, now I could start going in a different direction. There wasn't like any intentional pattern there. I wasn't intending it to look like an iris type of thing or anything in particular. Just kind of going around. There was one that I saw a demonstration done of where after the demonstrator was all done with the technique, she went ahead and threw some circles on there. And I thought about doing that, but honestly I wasn't sure that I liked it that well. All right, so I'm going to stop with the pool party for a little while and set that aside. And then I'm going to go to the Balmy Blue. I may have said that backwards when I said it earlier, but I started with the pool party because it's kind of light, and the Balmy Blue would probably be considered the lightest, I'm not sure. So over here with the pool party, I'm going to start right in with this corner and fill that in completely with pool party. Maybe I'll come over here and fill in here a little bit with the pool party. Now thinking about it, you could possibly do your one color that's different first, like I did with the parakeet party, and then go from darkest to lightest, because if lighter got on top of dark, you wouldn't care so much. I think my Balmy Blue needs some re-inking, so I'm having to do multiple layers to get this the way I want. There we go. And then maybe come across here now and get in that area a little bit. I'm backing it off because I don't want to fill that all in. I still just want to make sort of the, I don't know if I want to call them stripes or lines, whatever you want to call them. That's what I'm looking to do. And then I could do another one of those here, but back it off a little bit. And some of the lines will probably be thicker than others, and that doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think that kind of lends to the effect. All right, let's try coming in here now. And this time I will try to fill in that space. bit. This one's tricky. I'm going to try to use the tip of the brush a little bit. I don't want to cover up any of the parakeet party, or at least not more than I have to. So you can see I'm trying to be a little bit careful here, using the tip and the edges and not putting the brush flat down. Okay. I'm going to switch to the boho blue now, which is definitely a different kind of a blue. No doubt about it. I'm using the same brush though, so I'm just wiping it off a little bit in between. I do not have one brush for every color. I have 6 of the large and 6 of the minis. And for this, I obviously want to use the minis. Oh yeah, that one's inked well, so I'm glad I did a little tapping off on that one. Okay, so as you can see, very different color there. And then here I'm going to see if I can keep it in the confines of this area here. Oh, and I forgot to tap off, so you see now I've got a blob. But at this point I feel like I'm too far in to turn this over and do the whole thing over again, so I won't. And I am going over some of the parakeet party, but I can fix that part later. I'll show you how. And then maybe in here. So in the middle of the night last night, I woke up and I thought I was having a dream about menopause because I was having a hot sweat, hot flash, whatever you want to call it. And as it turns out, I was having a hot flash because the air conditioner died. So that's a big thing down here. Even though we're not having the hottest of winters, we are certainly having a hot week this week. It's been very warm comparatively. So that was a problem, and I called the air conditioning company this morning, knowing that my air conditioner was installed in 2006, so it's getting towards the end of its life probably, and it costs a lot of money to get a new air conditioner put in down here because one unit goes inside your apartment and one unit goes up on the roof. And you're not allowed to bring things through the common areas, so to get it up on the roof, I forgot to tap off, probably because I'm talking. To get stuff up on the roof, you have to hire a crane to do that for you. So I was expecting to hear that it was going to cost about $6,000 for a new air conditioner, which just gave me chills. And the guy came over, he said, well, let me start on the roof first. He came down and said, $275, please. And I said, what? He said, $275, you just needed to have a new capacitator put in. So I told him he was my new best friend, and I was very happy. And it's working wonderfully now, and maybe I'll just have to put it in the budget for somewhere in the next couple of years to do the air conditioning, because it's got to be done. I know it's just a matter of time. And actually my air conditioner at home in New York is on borrowed time as well, so. All right, so I think now is when I might want to go back and add a little bit more of the parakeet party. And possibly even do a little bit of blending where some things might overlap a bit. We'll kind of see. And when you see what I'm going to be doing with this card, you'll understand where I still want to see the effect, but I wouldn't mind a little bit of blending happening either. So I'm going to make this one a little bit wider. And it blends in a little bit with the pool party or whatever was on that corner there. So you're getting a little bit more of a green effect. And then I can bring it in here and overlap that a little bit. I'm going to try to just use the tip again because I might want to fill in there with something different. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to try to use just the tip. It's okay if I overlap a little bit. I'm going to move this over to one side a little bit, hoping that you can maybe see a little bit more than you seem to be seeing now. All right, then this time I'll go this way. drop that, and I'm going to go back to the pool party. And I'm just going to clean that off a little bit. You can wash these. I don't like to soak them because I make an assumption that these bristles, or whatever you want to call them, I guess on a brush they're called bristles, but that makes it seem like they're harsh, and they're not. They're so soft. But I make an assumption that they might be glued on or attached to a pad that's glued on, so I don't soak them. I just wash them in soapy water, get them right out, and start, tapping them off like on an old towel or a rag to dry them out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to come in here now and just catch this little corner here, I'm hoping, with some of the pool party. And let's turn it over this way and catch a little bit of that with the pool party. So we're still getting that kind of linear look, I guess you would call it. And this area here looks like it's in need of something. So we're going to do that. Oh, wait, let's go. Which way do I want to go? I'm going to go this way. So my daughter's been telling me that it's almost like spring back at home in upstate New York. There have been some beautiful days. She lives in an apartment on the second floor, and she's always just assumed that whoever lives below her really likes to keep their apartment warm, because it seems like she gets heat from their apartment, and she can't use the air conditioning right now because it's window air conditioning, and the cover doesn't get taken off, I think, until May or something, maybe April. So she's been opening the windows just to have, nice fresh air and not to be too hot, and I guess the cat is loving the open windows. All right, so now there's a couple of different things we can do. So what I can do is I have this brush that I used for the pool party, but I haven't re-inked it. And I'm going to take it now, and I'm just going to start going around, and now I'm not caring if I'm going over any spots or not. There's not a lot of ink left on this brush. I just don't want any white showing anymore. And by the same token, I can take this green one that I used for the parakeet party. I have not re-inked that either, but there'll still be some ink in it, and I can start going around, and I think you can see that the white is kind of disappearing. So if I missed any spots on the edge or in between rows, and this will also help a little bit with some of the spots where I blobbed a bit, so it'll get rid of those. And then I could come back in with the pool party one and just kind of go over things again. So it's kind of blending the colors, but you can still see the lines, because using the credit card gives you kind of a hard line, which a lot of times is not what we want, but in this case, that was kind of exactly what I was looking for. So there you go. Isn't that pretty? I just love it. So here's the thing. The thing is that I would have really been happy with myself had I brought my Stamparatus with me, but I did not. So what I wanted to use for this particular card was the Sea Turtle set, which I know I've done in a video probably several months ago, or maybe shortly after it came out, but I really like it and I wanted to use it again. I've got a pad under here that's going to be waterproof for the next thing that we're doing, but it'll also give me the little cush for the photopolymer stamps. So I did re-ink my Memento pad, and what I want to do is stamp everything in black, just for the sake of making it kind of different. So if you remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't, I told you that the Sea Turtle stamp is one of our reversible stamps. So in cards that I made online, and you could find those by searching hashtag Sea Turtle, I started out with the flat side, which gave me the background, and then with this side in a different color, which gave me the texture of the turtle. But for this one, I'm just going to do black. And actually, I think I decided not to use the biggest turtle, but to use the smaller one instead. So I'm hoping for the best. Let me grab my scrap paper again, though, and just test this out, because I re-inked it. Yeah, and I don't want it to be too inky, but I don't want it to be not inky enough. So it's looking pretty good. And I thought it might be just a little bit more fun. Oh, that came out really good. I'm so glad I re-inked that. So again, you know, there probably are no black turtles, so I'm not saying that I'm doing this for the sake of being totally realistic. I'm doing it for the sake of using this background for something that I thought was appropriate. Okay, so that didn't come out well at all, and just so you can see, there's a tiny bit of black that just didn't make it off the stamp. And because of that, that's blank. And I can fix that with a Sharpie marker, I think. I've never been really good at trying to put this down and have it perfectly lined up. I don't even want to try that. So then we've also got things like these little schools or a school of fish. I think it's one school. I'm going to try to look better at this, see if I can make sure that doesn't happen again. There are no promises. And I'm going to put those sort of swimming around here at the top. Okay, so it's almost a silhouette look for the fish, but considering how dark the ocean is, I think that's very appropriate. And then I've got two different size starfish. Just going to keep inking until I'm sure I've got most of it anyway. And I'm going to put one down here. Nice. All right, and I think, yeah, the ink is supposed to come right off of that, but for the next starfish, which is a little bit bigger, I'm going to bring in my scrap paper again, because I want this starfish to go off the edge a little bit. Hang on, there we go. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to stamp him in the corner. Him or her. I don't know if starfish have sexes or if they're asexual. Haven't done any starfish research, sorry. And then we've got a sand dollar, which again should certainly be kind of a sandy color. They're kind of bleached out white once they're dead. I honestly am not exactly sure what color they are when they're alive. I suppose I should know that. Sometimes I do quite a bit of research on these things, and other times I just don't. I believe, though, that March, which we're into now, is the nesting or hatching season for sea turtles around here, and you will literally see what we call dark zones, streets that will have no street lights, and they even ask you, if possible, when you're going down, to dim your headlights. And there are areas of the beach where you can't walk because of that, because they don't want you disturbing them. And when they hatch out, there's like hundreds of these baby sea turtles that just go flying for the ocean. And the saddest part of all, and there are some places where they allow tourists to help try to protect them, where they get picked off by birds as they're making it to the ocean, and they don't even make it all the way. That just kind of breaks my heart. So this is seaweed. And again, you know, seaweed is not black. I know that. I'm aware. Although there is some I've seen that's so dark green it almost looks black. And I just want to get a little bit of that in here. And I don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to call that quits. And the sea turtle stamp set does not come with with any sentiments. That's what I'm trying to say. Does not come with any sentiments. I also forgot to get out, oh, hang on, so you know what, I did not use, I was looking to see if I had a Lost Lagoon card base already made. I did not use Lost Lagoon. Oh, look at that, I have a card base, but I used it to pop a hole out of, and I popped it really close to the edge. Oh, we can get away with it. So I didn't use that color, but I honestly think it's okay. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it because we really need to put a card base on here. So we'll glue that down. So my new bathroom is almost done. It just needs the shower doors. And the gentleman who did the work on my new bathroom and undid all the bad stuff that the bad people did, he's amazing. But he's in the process of moving right now. He's actually moving down the hall from me, so he's going to be my neighbor. He's going to put the shower door on as soon as he's done with his moving. Pretty soon, I hope, because my company's coming on the 19th, I believe. All right, so there's that on a card base, and I think that looks good. Oh, Roberta, look what I did. So it's got a hole in it, though, so I'm going to have to do something kind of different, and look what I did there. Yeah, you know what? I may have to redo that one. So we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. You saw nothing, okay? I will fix that up later, but I think that doesn't look bad. I might just make this another base and then put it on maybe balmy blue or something else and have an extra layer. That would be kind of pretty, actually. I think I would like that. Let me just get these out of the way. And I don't know what I want for a sentiment. I have a bunch of stamp sets in front of me or alongside of me with stamp sets, with sentiments. Whatever I'm trying to say, you know what I was trying to say. No, it wouldn't work for a sympathy card, would it? I like this one though. I have to be careful. Sometimes I see a stamp on the front and when I pull it out and then I stamp it and it's not the one I was thinking of. I grabbed the wrong one. So let's see, I need a block though. So this one is, I hope your day is filled with joy. So that's kind of a cool sentiment for there. However, if I don't get it right, it's not going to look good. So I'm going to try something different. I'm going to grab a scrap over here. I've got a bunch behind me. And I'm going to grab... oh, you know what? No, that won't work for that one. Never mind. I'm going to grab a scrap. That's a little bit bigger than a scrap, but it'll work. Now I'm going to grab the oval punch. It's quickly becoming a favorite of mine. And we'll ink up that sentiment in the Memento Black. So the Memento is a linen pad, so it's not as fragile as our, what do you call them? I want to say sponge pads, that's not right, but as our new pads are. But if you rub too much trying to get more ink on it, you can sometimes have the opposite effect and end up taking off some ink, which when that happens, that's oh so annoying. All right, that's not bad, but I'm not thrilled with it, to be honest with you. So that's another thing that sometimes happens. I also just remembered that I have not used this sentiment yet. I really don't think I did. So I'm going to do that kind of smushy thing that I do. Yeah, so that looks awful, doesn't it? And then I'm going to clean it with my Stampin' Chamois. And then, yay, I'm wearing jean shorts today, so I'm going to dry it off on my shorts. Just tap it a little bit. You wouldn't want to do that on a sweater or something that might make lint, because that would kind of ruin your, get lint on your stamp, and you never want to do that. So we're going to try that again. I'm going to ink that up again. And we're going to hope that this one's a little bit better. Oh, so much better. Okay, so this is where I say I really do think that that little move of smushing it, stamping it a couple of times and smushing it and then cleaning it, I don't think it's just a weird legend. I think it actually does help. That's my theory. Then I'm going to take the oval punch and I'm going to punch that out. If you don't have any of our punches, you really must get some. They're wonderful, they're easy, they're quick. Nothing not to like about them, honestly. And I have nothing against dies. I certainly have many, many dies, and I have our die cutting machine, which works like a dream. But sometimes it's just nice to punch something out. Okay, so we will put some dimensionals on the back of this. pop that up since there's no other dimensions or no other dimension on this card. I hope your day is filled with joy. Let's move that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm liking that. So there's two with that technique. If that technique has a name, nobody ever mentioned it. I don't know. So I guess you could call it the credit card technique or the credit card. I think geometric is the word that comes to mind when I think about this. So the geometric, the geometric credit card technique. I don't know. I'm just making that up, but I guess I can because nobody's told me otherwise. So if you like that, by all means, give it a try sometime. I think you will enjoy it. All right. Thank you. And let's see. The next technique can get a little messy, so that's why I've got my mat here. I've also got some gloves because while sometimes I don't mind getting my hands dirty, sometimes I'd rather not because then I'm afraid of getting the goop that I've put out on something else. So I'm just going to go with the same color palette for this technique, but again, totally different. So I'm going to put on one glove, and I've got some baby wipes next to me, and I'm going to pull one out right away. Okay, I've got a block here, and it's one of the larger blocks. And I'm going to, let's use this combination again. So I'm going to use the Cherry Cobbler, which is definitely the darkest. I'm not sure that that's really what I want to do, is start with the darkest, but I'm going to try it. So I'm just kind of dabbing the ink pad on there. And then I am going to get one of our water spritzers. I want to make sure I get the one with water, not the one with alcohol. Although, to be honest, alcohol might work too because it would help it dry faster. I have mixed feelings. I'm going to do it with water because that's the way I learned how to do it at a workshop I was at. So I'm going to spritz that a little bit with water. I want to get that out of the way for a minute because I don't want to spritz that. I spritz that with water. Like I said, this could get messy. Okay, and now the secret ingredient is a roll of plastic wrap. Nothing fancy. I don't think you'd want to use like the cling wrap or the, what's that one called that sticks to itself? Whatever that one is, I don't necessarily think that's the one you'd want to use. I'm going to take off a good sized piece, a piece that you might be able to cover, let's say, a small bowl with, and I'm just going to crumple it up. All right, just crumple it up. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to dab, and as you can see, I'm not getting even coverage because that's not a flat surface. So, and that's kind of the idea, is that we don't want it to be a flat surface. So now I'm just going to do a little of this, here and there. And of course the first one is going to be the darkest, and now there's almost no color left on that. I'm going to wipe that off on there because I can use that again, although I could also sort of open it up and just sort of rearrange it. Still keep it crumpled, but rearrange it a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to, I know it seems like a waste because I might need this again. I could hang on to that maybe, and maybe get another block. Let's try that. And this time I'm going to go with the Berry Burst. Now you don't want to do a lot of water on regular cardstock. Could I, oh, that's a lot of ink. Could I do this on watercolor paper? Maybe. Probably. I don't think I've tried that yet though. I'll be honest with you, if I do, I don't remember doing it. I'm going to spritz. I'm going to get myself a piece of this, rolled up a little bit, crunched up a little bit, and I'm going to go around again. Now if you see an air bubble that looks like it's going to make a weird thing, you might want to get rid of that, and then again, you might not care. Alright, so I'm just hitting it twice if I see a big bubble. So I'm going to dab that off on there. I don't know how many blocks do I have within reach here. Well, actually, if I take the big turtle off a block, I've got another block, so maybe I'll just keep doing a different block for every one so I don't have to waste and I can go back to it if I want to. That might be smart, huh? All right, so now I'm going to go for Sweet Sorbet. And I'm not going to put quite so much on there this time. little spritz. Hang on, because I see you can't see what I'm doing here. You can see part of what I'm doing, but there's the block. And I'm going to spritz. I did 3 spritzes if you're counting, or if that matters. And then I'm going to dab again. Okay, so you're seeing, you know, we really have some different color variations here. For this particular technique, I'm not sure how much it matters to have every bit filled in like I did with the other one. You saw how I kind of filled it in with the blending brush. But I'm going around a little bit more with that one, and I think I can go back and do the other ones as well. So I think I can do whatever I want. That's what I think. All right, I've got another decent sized block here. And I'm going to hit that one with the pumpkin pie. I almost said orange pie, but it certainly is an orange color. Pumpkin pie and a little spritz. Move that over. I'm hoping that this ink would wash off of this table too, if I got any ink on it, but it's not flat, it's kind of textured, so I wasn't sure. Right, I'm just going to wiggle this around again so that it doesn't look like the same impressions, although honestly I don't think it gives you the same look twice. And I am going to try to get close to the edges a little bit. So this is the lightest color, and I could do a lot of filling in with this, but I think I want some more of the darker colors too. I'm feeling like I want some more berry burst. So I think I'm going to give that just one more quick spritz in case it started to dry up a little bit. And then I'm going to grab this again. And again, get down by the edges a bit. So what do you think? Are you liking this so far? I know it kind of looks like a hot mess. I understand that. But I think it looks like a pretty hot mess. Not a pretty hot mess, but a pretty hot mess. All depends on what word you put the emphasis on, right? All right, so this is the, what is this? This is the cherry cobbler, I believe. And that's a pretty deep color, although right now it's kind of watered down. And then this one here is back to the sweet sorbet, I believe. No, maybe this one's cherry cobbler. And I'm thinking that I honestly don't care if there's some white showing. In this particular case, I think I almost like the white showing. I'm not going to leave a ton, but I'm not going to knock myself out trying to get rid of it all either. So I'm feeling like I'm nearing the point where I want to stop myself before I get like too crazy. And I really do like that the way it is. So I'm going to set that aside for a second while I attempt a cleanup here. All right, this plastic I am going to throw out. Those of you who know me will be like, oh my gosh, you're not recycling it? Don't be funny. You can't recycle dirty plastic wrap. I'm pretty sure. Okay, and that came off the table. So if any of you have a table like this, it's just the typical Walmart folding table. If you have one of those, the ink will come off of it. The alcohol markers would not come off of it, by the way, just so you know. The permanent ink will not come off of it. But our ink is a water-based, dye-based ink, I think. I know it's water-based. So I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit, and maybe I'll get another baby wipe. These baby wipes, by the way, have probably been in my craft room here for I don't even know how many years. I had to add a ton of water to them to reactivate them. I would not use them on a baby. They're so old, who knows what's in them, but they're definitely clean enough for this project. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to use the turtles with that one. That would be kind of weird. Okay, yep, the ink is coming right up, so that makes me feel much better about it. Although, you know what, seriously, not for you guys maybe, but for my mixed media art, Some of these things that are colored like this would actually be really pretty if they were dry and you use them on an art project. I know it sounds crazy, but I've done it. So I might not throw these out. I might actually save them because I've got a couple of mixed media classes coming up. So I'm gonna set these aside in a safe place. There we go. And now I could do the same thing with the blue. So my gloves are stained, but it doesn't seem to be coming off. Well, maybe a little. Okay, I just don't want to get reds in my blues. I think that would be kind of weird. So here is the pool party. This time I'm just going to do them all at once. Let's just do that. Pool party. Parakeet party. See, I always wanted to call this Parakeet Parade, and we should have, because now we have two inks that say party in them. Boho Blue. You can always tell which of the newer ink pads because they're very juicy. And Balmy Blue. Oh yeah, that was the one that was really, I have to make a note to myself to re-ink that one for sure, because I'm probably sucking the life out of it. Alright, and then I can just go right down the line and spritz, 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 and that's 3 for each of them. And then get another piece of paper. I just have to remember where I put them, because I put them in a safe place, you know. That's what I do. I put them in a safe place and then we never see them again. Here we go. I think that's a 1/4 sheet of paper, so that would be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And another bit of the plastic wrap. This is just great value plastic wrap if you care. It's just basic plastic wrap, and I'm going to crumble that up. And I'm going to start with the Parakeet Party. And I'm already feeling like I might want that to be the predominant color. Can't say for sure. And then I'm going to go right into this one. What did I say this one was? This was the Pool Party. Alright, and then I'm just going to rearrange that so I've got a slightly different pattern going on for the next bunch. And this one is the Boho Blue. Ooh, that's dark. Okay. I like it, but I'm not sure how much of it I want because I'm still thinking I want to get that Parakeet Party in there. And then we'll move on to the Boho Blue, which is going to be made a little bit darker than it normally is by the Balmy Blue is going to be made darker by the Boho Blue. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then I'm just going to wipe that off on there and go back into the Parakeet Party. I like the little splotchier ones better than, oh look at me, you can't see what I'm doing. The little splotchy ones better than some of the big ones, but I do like the way they mix together. So I'm going to kind of fold that again and just see if I can get a little more. Of the Parakeet Party and maybe a little more of the Pool Party, just to fill in a little bit. And then again, I have to tell myself to stop because I think I like that just the way it is. That's what I think. That's my story. Okay, so we're going to set this one aside. Clean up the mess. And even though I'm wiping these blocks down pretty well, I will probably take them to the sink and wash them. Once in a while, it's a very good idea to wash your blocks anyway. I noticed when I opened the Sea Turtle stamp set tonight, a couple of the stamps fell right out. So that means that's bad, that's dangerous. So that means that somehow they got a little dusty or a little linty, and I took them all to the sink. First I counted how many there were, and there were 8 in the stamp set, and then I put them in a deep bowl, like a mixing bowl, in my sink. I plugged up the drain so that nothing could go down the drain, just in case, and then I rinsed them with some warm soapy water. And that's what you can do with your photopolymer stamps. You don't need to do that, and you don't want to do that with your red rubber stamps. But with the photopolymer stamps, you can do that, and it just brings back their stickiness. And your blocks just get gunk on them, and mine especially get gunk on them because I use them in classes, and sometimes they get glue on them. You never know what they're going to get on them. Okay, so these are not dry yet. I unplugged my heat tool the other day for some reason. Did I, or is it still? No, I unplugged it. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with these, and they are purposely made to be card base size. So if I were to get a sheet, I'm just going to flip this over just in case there's any paint left on it, but now there's dust and junk on that side too. I'm going to get just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of basic white. And I'm going to cut it in half at 5.5. And then I'm going to score it at 4.25. And that's our typical A2 size card base. Fold it. So if I wanted this to, either one of these, this one's really wet, this one's almost dry, could just cover the entire front, or I could cut it down. So I'm not going to take the time tonight to make a card with these, but I will when I'm off camera. So there are the 2 that we made using the saran wrap technique. I know that's just plastic wrap, I should say plastic wrap technique. And these are the 2 cards that I made using the, whatever you want to call it, the geometric, hang on, I want you to be able to see these, the geometric credit card technique, if that's what it's called. And if anybody out there has a different name for it or a better name, I'm open to all suggestions. So here they are, and I really like them all. I love this stamp set. This is one of Erica Serwin's, or this is Erica Serwin's $1 Million Achiever stamp set. So when you sell $1 million worth of stuff, which will never happen in my lifetime because some of these people have been doing this for like 25 years already, you get to design your own stamp set. So this is one that she designed. It's called Taco Fiesta. It's in the annual catalog. And if you like this stamp set, there are no dies, no nothing. They cut really easily, or you can just use them by stamping them on. I actually fussy cut the taco chips, and it wasn't hard, but I know I say that all the time, and you don't all believe me, but that's because I enjoy doing that. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope those of you who aren't here tonight will catch me on the replay. Please, please, please leave a comment. Facebook is thinking that nobody likes me, and that makes me sad, and it makes Facebook think that you don't need to see me, so it's not sharing as much of my stuff. So just make a comment, even if you're just saying hello. Okay, that would be great. But I would like to know what you think of these techniques, and if you'd like to try more of these. If you attend my classes, I'd love to know if you'd want to try some of these techniques in a class. All right, thank you very much. Have a great evening.